back to Friends Around the Tap. We're here with a guest. I want to introduce Sarita.
Yes.
From Vibe Me Up. I also have Charnene.
Drinky Events.
And Barry.
Assertive Business Solutions. How you doing?
So today we're trying vodka. This particular vodka is from Marz. The company that makes it is Supernova Spirits. It's a spirit that we're looking at taking on. I wanted you guys to try it out, see what you thought.
Interesting.
We haven't tried a new vodka lately.
We've never tried a new vodka, have we?
No, I don't think we have.
I don't know. We've had a lot of stuff. I don't remember.
Okay.
So
That happens.
let me start setting you guys up. We're gonna start with the.
Tell us about
Straight
Marz.
vodka.
How'd you get introduced to this?
Well, Marz, a friend of mine introduced me to the manufacturer. They are interested in getting into the DC market, so we got some samples in so we could try them.
Where are they from?
They are out of California.
Yeah. It's a group of friends that are, what my sister called me a spirit enthusiast. I thought my sister came up with that, but that's okay.
Hashtag.
Right, spirit enthusiast. So it made me think of us. I'm like, hey, group of friends, we could totally do this too. But in the meantime, let's try their stuff first. Oh, they said it's a universe of flavorful spirits, and they've won like a lot of awards. So I'm very interested to try it. I mean, the bottles are really pretty.
So we have two bottles. Which one are we trying first? I just asked you.
First one is straight vodka. The next one that we're going to try is cranberry. It's interesting. One of the things I think I pulled up was that it was French wheat
Yes.
that they used for the process. Also, I think it was distilled three times.
Filtered 3 times, distilled 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be really interesting.
Now, do we have any vodka fans here? All
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely.
Of course. Definitely.
The one thing is just insight into the filtering. When they filter it a lot of times that's to get the flavor nice and smooth.
Right.
So it does help. It does help.
And the cool thing about them too is they're small batched, and they use the copper pot stills, right? Yeah. So all right, well let's go.
That is really good.
You looked real surprised there.
I did. I was. Not everyone can pull off a good vodka, and I am impressed.
Because, and this is the cool thing. We're trying it straight.
Yeah.
And what that does is allow for you to taste the vodka. Most people don't know that vodka has a flavor to it.
Yeah.
If you're used to Absolute, you drink your Absolute with some cranberry juice, some orange juice, something like that.
Yeah.
But drinking it straight, you really can taste how smooth it is. You do Absolute, it's not that smooth.
Right. No shade to Absolute.
I agree.
We all
No,
got
yeah.
somewhere.
You get the twist face.
You get different ones. Small
Yeah.
batch vodkas
Yeah.
tend to be a lot smoother. You can drink them on the rocks, and I'm a vodka fan, so I'm digging this one.
Yeah, I probably could drink this on ice.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied.
I
Yeah.
can drink this chilled.
Mm-hmm.
So I just leave the bottle in the freezer.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
And just pour it right into my glass, and
Yeah.
this is straight. I mean, no ice filter or anything. This is fantastic.
Are you guys tasting anything? Like any flavors?
The nose is nice.
But I'm like, it says that it's like what? It's just nice and clean, and it has different hints of like what? Like what? What are you guys tasting? Because I don't taste anything.
I don't get any hints of flavors.
Anything, right?
It's
If
a
I
very
was
smooth
to
vodka.
go for a flavor, for me, I taste a little black licorice.
Okay.
That's what comes to mind when I taste vodka.
Okay.
So I'm a black licorice fan, of course, but that's what comes to mind for me.
I don't get that at all, but I just get smooth.
Right.
Just
There's no burn.
no
man.
burn, no
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
I will sip on this.
You will sip on
Sip
this.
on this like boy, girl.
Let's see, what proof is this? This is 80 proof.
Yeah.
It's 40, ABV on here is 40%. So it's.
So, do you think this is a mixing vodka? Like, would you mix this with something?
I think you could mix it with something, but the benefit of it being a light vodka, you could mix it with something light.
Okay.
So if you have a light juice, it's not going to outshine the juice. So
Okay.
like a light lemonade, like a handmade lemonade. If you made your own lemonade, lemonade's maybe that's not a good example. Maybe like a pie juice or.
I can see that. I mean, to be honest with you, I was thinking when I tried it Fever Tree has it's a lemon lime tonic. And I was thinking this would be perfect for that, for that tonic. Or just their straight tonic, because their tonics are very clean.
Or maybe a good dry soda. A good
There you
dry
go.
soda.
As we both did.
Reaching for the cucumber now.
Right. I think that would be
Yeah,
the perfect
definitely.
compliment.
Yeah.
Sarita, real quick,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Vodka.
So Vine Me Up is a wine blog, and it's really based on me living in DC, growing up in DC, and I'm not a big traveler. I wish I could afford it, but it's a real talk. I don't travel much, like most wine lovers, but I find really great wine right here in DC. So it's restaurants, it's wine bars, it's a lot of wine shops, especially wine shops that have free tastings. So yeah. So that's kind of how I got started.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I really expanded my palate, just sort of hopping around the metro, going up and down the city, finding different wine shops and tastings. So it's pretty much, a local wine blog, about wines that you can find right here in DC.
And just in case you didn't know, Sarita's been working with us during our drinky events.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's done
Phenomenal.
2-3 different events with us so
Has it
far.
been two?
It's been at least two.
At least two.
Yeah.
At least two.
Yeah.
Coming up on the third.
Yeah.
Fantastic job, by the way. Fantastic job.
Yeah,
It's kind
it's
of hard to
been
have to go behind her, so it's a little.
Oh, stop
I
it.
got it. Jeez, here I got to go. Fantastic job, by the way.
And when is the next event?
July 16th. If you're in the DMV area, you have to hear this before July 16th. Go to Eventbrite, search for drinky events. We're doing a beer, wine, cider, and barbecue pairing. And you'll get to make your own cocktail, or a version of a cocktail.
Now, Ashton is always asking for. That was pointed to me. 'Cause
Right.
I'm doing the
Turn my head
cocktail.
towards you.
I was trying to skip over that, but I'm doing the cocktail. We are still in the research phase
That's
of
okay.
the cocktail, but we're gonna have some fantastic stuff. The last time we used mason jars as kind of a shaker, but I'm feeling like since it's kind of a 4th of July month and a barbecue thing, we're gonna have some real good times with like the mason jars mixing and sipping. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
But the other part is Ashton is always asking for people to send in questions,
Right.
suggestions, and we actually have someone, Ben, who says, I have a beer store and I received my first complaint on Yelp. How do you deal with complaints from Yelp? So that was kind of posed to us. So we're going to sit down and discuss that. And
Well, I'll answer it. I'll answer
Easy.
one. For me, I'll answer it, and then hopefully you can give a little background with what you do and how to resolve it. What I did was I actually went to Yelp, got the app, which allows for businesses to respond, and I invited the person who gave me a negative review to come back through, and apologize for what they saw as negative treatment, but invited them to come back through so that I could reintroduce them to our store. I think that you have to address every negative response on Yelp, and you have to try to engage them every time you get it, and then address those things within your store. So at that time, I had a conversation with our sales rep, let him know where he was messing up and what he needed to improve upon. That was the big thing for me. Now I know with you,
I'm in the middle. I'm not a Yelp fan because I've been on both sides. I've been in the service industry and I've been a consumer. So my issue with Yelp is the accountability piece. Just because from my experience, a lot of times you get the negative Yelp complaint when they're just not happy, period. And so you realistically can have someone come out there and say, I will never ever go back there again because they closed right before I came in, or they were about to close. So that can go out there realistically and say, and kind of put a bad complaint or something like out there on Yelp. So the accountability piece is hard for me. But as a person who does quality assessments, one of the first things I do look at is Yelp for any new business I'm working with, just to kind of see the things that are out there. So some things are trainable items, as you said. I mean, if I talk to a sales rep and say, these are something things you should have said differently about, yeah, we're about to close, not I'm about to close the door on you, or something crazy like that.
Close, bam!
Bam, you know? But there's a balance to it, and Sarita, you and I were talking earlier. What are your views on the Yelp world?
I'm sort of in the middle because I have worked in service. I worked at a winery for 5 years, and during our staff meetings, they would bring up some of the complaints that they get at Yelp. Like one major complaint was we weren't pouring enough wine. We had the caps, like the pours, and it would stop at like 1.5 or 2 ounces.
Yep.
So we got rid of them. So we poured more like 3. So I mean, some things can be helpful. On the other end, as a consumer, if I don't know anybody who's been to a specific restaurant or hotel or something, I go to Yelp first.
Right.
But I'm pretty old school. I go by word of mouth. You know, I talk to people I know who have been to a certain city and ask them have they been there. If not, then I'm going to Yelp. So I can definitely understand, you know, what you're saying, both sides.
And see, I agree. I understand what you're saying, but I believe Yelp is a tool that's in place and it's not changing.
Sure.
So I feel like we have to address it in that manner. When I travel, the way we choose our restaurants is through Yelp.
Right.
So, but I also approach the negative responses with a logical perspective. So you could give a crazy response. I mean, you could be on Yelp and give a horrible response, but as long as the owner steps up, I'm good.
Yeah.
And a few negative people, you're gonna get those. I just accept that's the way things are.
Sure.
But if you have a larger percentage of positive reviews, we're good.
Right.
So if your negative reviews outweigh your positive, then there is a
exactly.
problem.
Exactly.
So Yelp is, as much as it is a forum where people can kind of put random up there and give you random reviews, I just believe that the larger group of people who are on there are smarter and a lot more logical and aren't going to give you negative reviews without there being a background or premise for it.
Right.
You know, making a modification off of one Yelp review is one thing.
Right.
You know, our review was such that she felt as though our sales rep ignored her. And I felt as though he needed to step his game up and address each person that came in and deal with them that way.
And that's what we would call like a trainable moment. So
Yes,
we see
yes,
things like
that's
that.
how I see
okay,
it. Yeah.
then we can step that up a little bit. And just to play devil's advocate on that same side, when I look at Yelp and I see someone who's gone back and forth, like an owner going back and forth with a client,
Oh, I've seen that.
and it's not pretty.
No, that's
It's
where you
not
mess
pretty.
up.
Yeah. Right.
Because customer service is about, you know, I learned sales years ago in sales.
Just keep talking. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some more.
When I started with sales, the customer was always right. You get a random customer who is just not right. And so you can't go back and forth with them. If the young lady came back to me, my whole thing was I just opened up and said, look, I'm the owner. You had a bad experience. Here's my personal email. Contact me and let me know when you want to come back through so I can reintroduce you to my store.
That's what's up. I mean,
That's how you do it. You don't get
setting
into
the bar.
a debate. You don't get into an argument with them.
Right.
They can say, if they're going to give you crazy and random, you just open the door and that's it. People who continue to go back and forth over individual Yelp reviews, I think that's where you lose
I have
it.
a question. Have any of you ever written a Yelp review, good or bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I did do a positive Yelp review.
Okay.
I don't do many reviews at all, but I did in Chicago. I did do it.
Okay.
Nice review.
And yes, I have too. And that's one of my biggest complaints is, and this goes back to marketing 101, where if you have a bad experience, you're going to tell 15 people.
Right.
Now that was 20 some, oh, I can't believe I can say that, when way back. Back in the old days when marketing was just word of mouth and everything, you could tell 15 people. With social media, Yelp, and all these different avenues, you know, 1,000 people can hear
Right,
about
yeah.
your bad complaint.
Right.
The flip side of that is you hear more of the bad stuff than you do the good stuff.
Right.
So I would encourage you to, when you do bump into your clients or your customers, encourage them to put a good review out there
Yeah.
for you. I think that's one of the most
I
important
think
things.
a lot of it is, if you had a positive experience, people think, oh, somebody else will leave a response. It'll be fine.
Mhm.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
Mhm.
And you're the dumb bucket now?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone will do it. Somebody will take care of it. No problem. I'll just let the next person do it. And it really does help a business if you have a positive experience to leave a review.
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to think. I've never written a negative. Well, no. Oops. I take that back. I have written a negative review, and no one ever said anything. No one ever contacted me. But it was more me trying to do a teachable moment. Because I gave them the
Yeah.
feedback like, this is what happened. What are you gonna do to change the process going forward? Now, I will say for this particular event, I've never gone back, so I don't know if they've done things differently. I don't know. And also, like you were saying, Ash, when you go to different cities, I do look at reviews, because I do TripAdvisor and I do Yelp, and I do those things, but I also pay attention to, does this person have more than one review or two reviews? I want to see a lot of reviews from this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like with a lot of reviews, they're more trustworthy, and this is probably not a fake account where someone is a friend of a friend that was like, hey, go on this website and write a great review when you know your property or your restaurant is not any good. Word trash came to mind, but it probably wasn't the best word to use. But when you know your restaurant or your
And I think
it's not good.
that Yelp gives you a way of measuring how these restaurants are. They do. I mean, if you travel, and when I go to Chicago, if I go to a restaurant that has 1,500 reviews versus one that has 300, and 1,500, I'm on the 1,500 one, especially if the bulk of them are positive.
Right.
That's why I say discounting the negative. I discount the
You
negative.
can't discount the 300 though, because what if 300 is just like, maybe it's a small store or a small
maybe it's
restaurant.
new.
Right, or maybe it's
Right.
new. What if it's 300 positive reviews? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
I
you
get
can't count that out.
but that's just my personal
I
thing.
got you. Okay.
So if we're looking, because we want to go to the place that's that place.
Okay.
So when we
I got
go
you.
out of town, we're looking for that place, and we're not necessarily looking. I mean, if the 300 review is 5 and the 1,500 is 3.5, we're going to the 300.
Right.
But from what we found is that a lot of times the ones that are like the super hot joints are like that one that's that experience that we're looking for.
Right.
But
Sure.
my only thing with that is that we use it as a tool regularly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And as much as you have positive, you're going to have negative on there anyway.
Yeah.
And so the negative can be offset by how much positive you have, and it's really about the volume of positive versus a lot of owners fixate on these negative ones and want to banter back and forth, and you don't do that. Getting into an argument like that in a public forum is just not. It's not cool.
Well, you bring up a valid point. How often would you say you engage your customers to, hey, if you had a great time, put a good review out there on Yelp? I mean, I think that's one of our best practice that most business owners should have, because that's hard. Because as you said, now you're fighting an uphill battle when the two reviews you have out there are just from out of 100 people, 2 people complain, but that's out there because your other 98 customers haven't put a great review out there or a good review or anything, or haven't said anything. They just are enjoying it, but they haven't really gone that extra mile to support you a little bit.
That's the best practice, and the problem is that a lot of businesses are not necessarily doing that. I will admit I have not been on top of Yelp as I have been on other things. And my big thing is having customers report back to me verbally and tell me whether or not they like the product versus me having them address me in social media. Now, we'll tell them to address me in social media, let me know how you're doing, because if it's easier, but then is another discussion because that's based off of the age range of who you're dealing with and volume. If you have large volume, Yelp reviews are even more important. If you have a smaller situation, smaller shop, small batch, all like that, Yelp reviews are important, but you're not going to get the same volume with that. So it's a little bit more difficult, and it's like you said, it's a training process with your sales reps to go, look, why don't you put us up on Yelp? And places have different mechanisms for doing that. Now, one of the things, we're having this conversation about Yelp, but the other thing is, while we were talking, I actually poured the white cranberry. Now, I'm not checking it out because I was a dumb bucket. But I want everyone to take a whiff of it. I
don't have to. When you poured it,
But when you smell the cranberry.
That's
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing right there.
This is not what I'm used to smelling from a cranberry vodka.
Like a flavored vodka.
Flavored vodka is normally more alcohol-y.
Yeah.
But this is like, smells good.
Yeah.
Cranberry.
Cranberry.
Yeah.
Straight.
I haven't even drunk it.
But that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree, when you do wine, part of the experience is, what do you smell once you get your glass? So what do you guys tasting? What do you think?
Cranberry. I will say I actually like it. Once again, this is I could drink this straight. I wouldn't drink a lot of it because it's a little sweet on the back end for me, but I could totally drink this straight, or I could see it in a really creative cocktail.
I think a great Cosmo would be great for this.
Oh, people still drink Cosmos?
People still drink Cosmo.
Okay, all right. I mean, no shade.
No shade, right?
No,
Sorry. Don't come for me. Sorry.
For those of you listening to the podcast, that was Charlene.
No. Wow. Okay. All right then. But no, like, it's really smooth. Once again, 3 times filtered, 5 times distilled, small batch. I mean, hey.
Actually, you got to give your boys a holler and let them know this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a winner.
We got to win 2 winners. Back
Two
to back.
winners. 2 winners.
I mean, and the bottles are very creative.
They're cute.
And I can see them on a shelf in a
like
a
abstract.
restaurant. Right.
Yeah.
There's swirls. It's red. It's orange. It's yellow and white. I can see it on a shelf in a nice like restaurant or bar.
With the light behind it.
Yeah. 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 Definitely.
So guys, please look it up. Follow us. We'll let you know what stores these are going into as soon as we get them in. Thanks again for joining us at Friends Around the Tap. You can follow us
On Twitter at Imbibe Friends, on Facebook at Friends Around the Tap, and Instagram Friends Around the Tap. And our guest,
Sarita, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, at Find Me.
We're trying to catch up with the reporter and give us street cred. Social media street cred. So,
hey, look, I just got on Instagram. Don't talk about me. Don't judge me.
your account's private.
It don't count if it's private, right?
Locked down.
So thanks again for joining us at Friends Around the Trap.
Whoa.
What did you start?
Friends Around the
Tap.
Yes.
Woo! Long day.
Or this vodka's can you eat it?
Maybe.
Or the shot that we had before we
The
started.
shot before, yes.
Let's close it out. Salute.
Please send us your questions and suggestions. Thanks again for joining us.
Take care.